think that they would want to ban the Digi. You can find ways to eventually deal with the Digi at the late stages of the game. They can still definitely find ways to kind of exploit that Digi that may be picked up by Bigetron Alpha. But you know,
yeah, like I said, I think it's an either or, right?
Yeah.
Because you ban away the Digi, Matilda is
Matilda.
forced into a more of a tank role. She's not going to be
Right.
able to play that aggressively early game, not be able to build into that full damage item which you saw KYY picked up. So with Todak banning away the Matilda, I think in this case the Digi
don't have to carry on
no
anymore.
longer really a priority here.
So
Jawhead.
Jawhead has been constantly banned and constantly
Yeah,
picked.
I
So
think
it's
the
an
Jawhead
either
should be a
or
ban.
as well. Yeah, it should be a pick or it should be a ban here. Todak on their last ban, they should be looking for a ban on the Jawhead, or else Jawhead is going to be snap picked by the side of Bigetron, or maybe they would want to open either one of the Jawhead or the Selena so that Todak can keep one of these heroes.
Yeah, I feel like Todak, they don't really want to take the risk. Like Todak, I know they don't particularly do well against teams that can bully them in the early phases, and hence why you see them banning away the Matilda as well as the Jawhead. Yes, you mentioned about the Selena being there, but Bigetron Alpha, even with the Selena, there is still many other considerations into making the Selena a good pick, and one of them being able to land the Abyssal Arrow. Todak saw them hesitate a long time on the third ban, and this is where they now have the opportunity to pick an early game draft. I think early game is super important for Bigetron Alpha, because if they don't pick up the early game, then Bigetron Alpha will look to do the same thing. We're just going to run at you for early game draft. We're going to constantly gank with the Selena. When we land the Abyssal Arrow, we pick them off, and then we'll snowball from there.
With the first pick coming from the side of Chiku with the Harif, as this is not banned as well, but I don't think that they would want to immediately jump onto the gun like that and just make things absolutely obvious. But for the side of Todak, they understood that Bigetron can't ban every single one of these assassins out, and thus Todak have decided it is time for them to pick up onto the side of Lancelot, because that's what they did not do in the previous game. They did not go straight in for a pick onto Lancelot, and thus they picked it out now.
Yeah, I think the risk here is that Bigetron Alpha can pick up the Kufra. Right, the Kufra does really well into the Lancelot. It does really well into the Harif as well. If Bigetron Alpha pick up the Kufra, not only is it an asset for them in teamfight, it also denies away the hard tank that Moy loves to play. This is a win-win situation for Bigetron Alpha if they pick up the Kufra. But, well, they still go for the Phoebus, which is also another countermeasure into the Harif as well as the Lancelot. Bigetron Alpha, I think the only reason why they don't want to pick up the Kufra is because how well the DQ worked out for them in game 1.
Now, this is probably going to change the game a little bit here, isn't it? We do have the Hilda that's immediately going to be picked up by Todak, and I think that the reason they kind of didn't immediately jump onto the Kufra is likely that they are expecting the Digi to be played out by Bigetron again. They want to help Hilda to go online with the Power of the Wilderness pretty early into the game, hoping that the Digi will constantly feed to either one of these cores to, well, get themselves that early game burst damage, especially on the side of Hilda.
Yeah, honestly, I felt like that was a gamble from... I felt like it was a bit of a gamble from Todak, right? If Bigetron Alpha picked up the Digi, yes, it looks really good now. But imagine
if it's actually a Kufra.
If it was a Kufra, that will pose a bit of a headache for Todak, because now then Todak have to think about, their backline constantly being harassed. They already got Phoebus, Lancelot's gonna come in, but he's gonna get stopped by the magic ball. But enough on that Kufra. I'm not gonna hop on it too much. I'm just a little bit disappointed. We do see the S-Murder getting banned out from Bigetron Alpha due to the shield generated from Phoebus. S-Murder is just gonna completely rip him apart from early to mid game. We don't want that for Bigetron Alpha's side, so they ban away the S-Murder. Todak, snap ban on the Eastern Shin. Interesting.
Bigetron Alpha have yet to fulfill the condition of the marksman itself. Yves is also going to be banned out by Bigetron Alpha, ensuring that those pesky magic damage in the early stage is not going to be a problem for Bigetron Alpha at all. But Todak now, they have a choice to pick up one hero here, and in fact, it is still not too late for them to pick up the Kufra. To be honest, they can actually still send this Hilda off to the side lane, but in fact, they are still going to be holding out with that Hilda onto the roam and glue onto the side lanes. So, last thing that they have to worry about is going to be the other mage.
yeah, with Lunox coming onto the side, I think that does really well into the glue, a bit. They're not going to be playing against one another. It is going to be the Lunox against the Harif, which I talked about in game 1. So that kind of missed that opportunity to go for the Lunox pick. Bigetron Alpha this time down. Oh, looking for huge team fights. And it's not only team fights, they have so much burst, right? You think about it, they got the Selena and the Lunox. They also have a DE to have a single target lockdown in the reverse time. On top of that all, they pick up a Claude, which completely shreds, this Harif. And Todak, this time around, resorting to a comfort pick in the Kagura. Honestly, I'm leaning towards Bigetron Alpha's draft. I think the Kagura does add that burst damage that Todak needs to, play in terms of firepower, because you look on both sides, not very tanky other than the Furious and Glue. The rest of the heroes are super squishy. But in terms of the draft coming online, Bigetron Alpha looks very scary. You have a Digi that's effective essentially at level 1, Selena's power spike at level 2, when Lunox hits at level 4, she's going to be more effective than the Harif, and on top of that all, you have a Phoebus, which is already a natural counter on the 2 members of side of Todak. So, we'll see if I can be proven wrong, because Todak, we have known that they have the never die say it strikes again. Never die say spirit. Never say die spirit. We'll see how this goes.
God.
Ladies and gentlemen, potentially the last match for Todak, which I'm sure all the Malaysia fans out there are rooting for them. So hopefully we go to a game 3. But here we go. Bigetron Alpha against Todak.
With here, let's take a look at the top lane, bottom lane, and the middle lane. And understandably, we are going to be looking at a Harif fighting against a Lunox. The bottom lane with the Phoebus fighting against the Glue. And in the middle lane, of course, it is going to be one heck of a chaos. As we are going to be looking at a feeding Digi, not exactly feeding Digi, but a Digi and a Selena holding up the lane in the middle while their Claude continues farming. And on the flip side, it is going to be a Kagura as well as the Hilda with that Lancelot farming behind them.
Bigetron Alpha here not being as aggressive as game 1, which we saw both the Matilda and the Digi invading the jungle this time around with a Selena. They need Selena to hit level 2 before they do a little bit more of those aggressive plays which we saw coming in from the side. But Chiku now being put under a lot of pressure. Dream's gonna be babysitting Matt. And why not, right? Once Matt hits that level 4, that's when we'll see them go to ham. And this Hilda pick is really smart coming Todak. We saw that coming up from Evil's Legends as well. The moment there was a Digi against them, I believe it was actually Cyber EXE that drafted the Digi. They constantly, got countered so hard by this Digi, by the Hilda pick. However, this time around with Dreams being well aware that there's a healer on opponent's side, he's not giving away any of the silly kills. In fact, he's just going to babysit this Lunox, make sure she has a smooth early game, constantly pressure Chiku out of the lane, and then, hope to scale off when Lunox hits that level 4.
Change in playstyle is exactly what Bigetron Alpha is doing. In fact, they're playing it all on to the fact that they want to go for traps. They almost gotten the kill onto the side of Hilda. Very unfortunate, actually. When, of course, with the side of 4 Mace, he continues to find himself more amount of damage that is being dealt on the Reaper, while he jumped right into the mess. I thought that was a pretty interesting way of initiating, but it is what it is. It doesn't seem like they are. It doesn't seem like either of these teams are having a problem just yet.
Yeah, the Selena DG combo is so dangerous, right? You get the reverse time on, that just essentially makes it Selena job so much easier of hitting the Abyssal Arrow, which we saw coming in the mid lane. That was a bit of a wasted opportunity, to be honest, right? I thought that was a first blood secured by Bigetron Alpha, but Todak coming into the rescue of their tank. Meanwhile, looks like there's going to be a total fight here. First blood indeed might just go on to Todak. Oh, the flicker comes in, but Momo will also burn his own flicker to secure the first blood for the Malaysian side.
And unfortunately, it was a kill for the side of Momo. They were kind of looking at each other like, do you want to kill, do you want to kill, do you want to kill, the kind of thing. But, well, doesn't really quite matter. We're going to be looking at Todak that did manage to get themselves a really good control over the Turtle's Pit. Dream S and fellow friends in Bigetron Alpha unable to do anything about this turtle. It's going to be an easy turtle pick. Currently 9,000 gold for Todak, and as for Bigetron Alpha, 8,700. Not a very big difference actually, but in fact I should be looking at Bigetron Alpha going more more aggressive from now on, since that Matt is already at level 5. We can be expecting some crazy burst damage from the side of Bigetron.
Yeah, I think that aggressiveness would definitely be against Chiku, whereas for Bigetron Alpha, we might not see them come online just yet. Remember, Rainbow is the true core here, right? The Lunox is more of a countermeasure against the Harif, whereas they need time for Rainbow to farm up both the Demon Hunter Sword as well as the Golden Staff. That is where we see the spike coming for Claude. That's where we see Bigetron Alpha really want to take these huge team fights. And it was similar in terms of their mindset, where we saw them not even contesting for the turtle, because they know that if Rainbow goes down here, it's just going to delay their farm even more. And on the other side, Todak is more on the timer, right? When both the Claude as well as Lunox come really online for these team fights, that's when we'll see Bigetron Alpha want to take huge team fights.
With more of the Bigetron Alpha's inclusion up in the top lane, they really want to bring down the kill onto the side of Chiku. We do have the reverse time just going to be popped as well as Time Journey, but unfortunately we do have the Synchro Fission for the side of Chiku, just getting himself a single kill down onto the side of Diggy. Now we can, of course, still talk about this Diggy, because this is no longer feeding Diggy. Todak is doing a pretty good job in diving down onto the top lane turret. They know exactly when and how they should be picking up all these kind of kills, and I really like what they are doing right here. Demonic Force coming from Ripple lands that final wrecking ball onto the side of Moon, and things are starting to be a little bit more tough for the side of Bigetron Alpha. They do have, in my opinion, they do have a better earlier game opener, but unfortunately they haven't really quite been able to land those initiating shots, such as that nice little Astaros Eye, or even with the Abyssal Arrow. Yes. So unfortunately, not much of the initiation I was hoping for Bigetron Alpha, but the main thing is that I would want to see Matt going downtown, going anywhere and everywhere, and just popping off with Darkening. But I think his job at the top lane dealing with Harif is more important.
Yeah, good use of the Phantom Execution coming from 4-Maze as well, which, we don't really see him playing the jungle, but this time around, now Todak trying to find a kill onto the top lane. KYY will be forced to use the Flicker, but here comes Momo coming on the side, try to cut off Bigetron Alpha's escape. They're going to fend that off and focus back on the turtle. Meanwhile, Rambo in the mid lane, we saw Todak pick up a kill in the mid lane on that Claude, which was very, very important for Todak. But here comes the first huge team fight. Oh, here comes Ripple onto the back line. He might be able to pick up a kill on 4-Maze, who is forced to just move. But the Flicker comes in. They pick up the kill on 4-Maze. Not only that, they also pick up the kill on the Chiku, which is a good win for Bigetron Alpha. And now they can look to snatch the turtle away from Todak.
This is a great change in pace, and Todak is definitely going to find them a little bit of a problem coming right in. Moy gets himself close onto the side of this Diggy. He eats up that Abyssal Arrow, but surprisingly still not dead just yet. Hilda is definitely a force to be reckoned with, and you definitely do not want to focus too much of your resources onto this Hilda.
Bigetron Alpha now, after winning that huge team fight, looking to take the first turret onto the top side. Lunox doesn't really have to defend the ball lane, first the turret already gone. As similar Bigetron Alpha, they're looking for team fights now. You can see the way they position themselves, they're starting to roam S3. This kind of, signals that Rambo is ready for this huge fight. He's just going to secure his buff before we see them converging onto mid. Now Momo taking 1-2-1 shots coming in for both Dreams, and KYY will have to back off. That Abyssal Arrow will land onto Kagura, which doesn't matter because she has the Rishi Umbrella to get out of trouble. Meanwhile, Rambo goes in, and here comes the burst damage Moon without his second skill. Cannot get out of there, and now Moy might be the second one to go down. The slow comes in, but Claude is more interested on the Harif. You can see Bigetron Alpha now licking their lips. Can Todak get out of time? Chiku gets stopped. Do they know he's in there? I'm pretty sure they do. And now Dreams coming in to back the Claude up. There is only so much time that Chiku can buy before he goes down.
I like the very fact that Rambo just stood outside of the lane, just kind of waiting for his friends to come in. And even for the side of Chiku, it kind of seems like he knows that he can't exactly go out. He's kind of stuck right there, right? But in the meantime, it's just going to be an initiation coming from the side of Repo, right on course with the Astaros' Eye, followed by more of the Demonic Force, hoping that he'll be able to land it on top of 4-Maze. But his mana is starting to run dry. He's got to have to go back home, even after that huge team fight they tried to go out for. So regardless of that, 6 kills for the side of Bigetron Alpha, 4 kills for the side of Todak. Bigetron Alpha they have the lead here. They definitely want to focus more on their objective. But this game very likely will be going off to the later stage of the game because, well, both sides is pretty much on a stalemate. Anything could happen. As we do have Momo splits himself up, tries to get himself onto Rambo as a pesky little pest or slash parasite. Even the time journey has been popped right up. Rambo is still dead as this glue is just not going to go down. Phantom Execution as well as the Taunt Rose brings Selena back home, and Todak have successfully managed to just bring the control of the map right back into their own rightful hands.
Yeah, Momo with the smart play here, taking away the Claude is such an important task for Todak. Without the Claude, you can sense that Todak has a little bit more confidence going into these duos. Meanwhile, Bigetron Alpha, Heroes Claude has respawned, and Todak, they don't really want to risk it, right? Taking away, or rather starting the Lord right there, with them not having enough damage online just yet, means that gives Bigetron Alpha the window of chance, or rather opportunity to go for the steal. Meanwhile, Bigetron Alpha cooked up in their own jungle. Todak getting a lot of dominance around the turtle speed, or rather the Lord speed this time round. Dreams out to the bottom side as well. Moy opening up the map for Todak. They spot out the Selena coming to the bot lane. Momo now getting a start on. The Parasite is going to be on the Digi, which feels like a bit of a loss in terms of firepower. 4 maze, 1 more basic attack should do the trick. Very good Taunt Rose to avoid that shot. The Abyssal Arrow 4 shot as well. And now Moy defending away KYY from the mid lane, while Chico under harassment from Rippo. The Astral Eye will not land, but he's just going to slam right down onto the Harif.
Well, my oh my, does seem like this very scary Phoebus is just making things work out with the support emblem, by the way. So I'm gonna be exploring more into the support emblem furthest from now on. But to move on, we do have Moon just goes in, Yin Yang overturn, brings 3, but unfortunately have to get back off. There's not much of a follow up from the side of Todak, as we are also still going to be looking at a decent amount of stun onto the side of Boy. They are all just going to be holding themselves back. They do not want to over initiate onto the opponents, as Momo splits himself up. I don't think that he's going to go anywhere either way.
Yeah, you can see, Todak, they're so fearful of these viewers. You can, even when they're backing off, they can't afford to use any of the movement skills. That's just a lot of experience kid. And I don't know, it's kind of just limiting them in a lot of these huge team fights.
As we go off now, the Lord is just going to be reset in terms of HP. Formate tries to get himself out of the way from Matt because he's pretty darn scary. But in the meantime, Repo gets himself the 5th kill to his name and is continuously going to be pushing. Oh, the Abyssal Arrow lands on the Formate. Pops himself up with that Phantom Execution as well as Thorn Rose, but Repo lands the Astaros Eye, followed by the final nail in the coffin, or rather a final ball in the coffin. Bigetron Alpha, they're just making things so tough for the side of Todak.
Is it a ball though?
Is it like a wrecking ball?
No, it's kind of like a rift dimension opening up in the ground, right? Isn't that what previous kid is supposed to do?
It kind of slams onto the ground, and because of the impact, it creates that rift.
That's true. Right? Well, speaking about slamming on the ground, not much done from Moy's side. Well, he easily hoped that he could have done that early game. But like I said, smart play style coming from Bigetron Alpha, recognizing the fact that Huda is looking to build on the stacks. And up to now, Moy has only got 2 stacks. That is not what you want as a Huda. Huda spikes early to mid game. But with Bigetron Alpha playing so passive, Huda really couldn't capitalize on the stacks, and now she's getting invaded. Moy might just go down. The Astral Eye will find Moon as well. Will he land the stun? No, it won't. The Abyssal Arrow will not land his mark, but it doesn't matter. Now Bigetron Alpha looking to choke Todak. They are putting the Swordfish to sleep, pushing on all 3 lanes. The mid turret will fall pretty soon as the creeps come in, but top lane is the focus. Lord coming in as well. Chiku getting harassed by these viewers. He's just constantly stacking up on them, and why not? He's got the shield there. The Lord will start to push him. Middle turret's been pushed down as well. Lord just hammering down left. 1 more hit. They get secure the top 3 onto the top lane, and now Momo doing his best with the Parasite in order to delay, but all 3 towers will fall. The the base is cracked wide open, and Bigetron Alpha just punching their way in. It feels like deja vu to game 1. And now Momo trying to delay on the take, but look at how quickly Formation is dropping. Lunox out of the Brilliance comes in at the right time as well. Ripple, the burn effect will bring Moon down, and now Momo still trying to buy us time, but you feel like it's a little bit too little too late. And now with Bigetron Alpha cracking the base wide open, they try to go for the back door. Not exactly the back door. One creep still standing. Momo is desperately trying to take it, but it is going to be Bigetron Alpha that takes the cake in a 2-0 dominating fashion.
Oh my, oh my. Todak is really unfortunate over here. The Malaysia's big 3